Welcome to the Off-Road Campfire Podcast, where stories are told and legends are made. Here are your hosts, Clinton and Ryan. So this is the Off-Road Campfire Podcast. Today we are actually interviewing, each other. Hey, Clinton, how are you?
I'm doing great, bud. How are you doing?
I'm blessed more than I deserve, my man. So, hey, this is episode one of one. You can't get any newer than you and I doing this.
That's right.
This
That's
this
right.
is this is rookie season at its best. We are the Off-Road Campfire Podcast, and we welcome you all to it. This is something Clinton and I decided that we should do with our years of experience in the four-wheel drive world. We love the sport, and we like to share it with everybody we can. And so
We're
we
super
want
excited.
to. It
Super
is.
excited.
I'm thrilled. I'm nervous. We'll see how much we screw up today,
Yeah.
and see
Bear
how
with
well this
us.
actually goes. So.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the Off-Road Campfire Podcast, the ultimate gathering spot for off-road Jeep enthusiasts. This podcast is designed for off-roaders and by off-roaders, bringing our community together to share our experiences, swap stories, and dive deep into the sport we love. Just like any campfire, we aim to entertain with our humor, banter, and engaging discussions. Here you can unplug from the hectic world around us. Come find inspiration for your off road build, learn more about your DIY project, grow your four wheeling skills, discover new trails, and share an everyday life. Join us around the campfire where stories are told and legends are made. The reason we wanted to do this was really, I really came to the point where I love to interview people. I love to learn about folks and dive deeper into um, leadership, their life stories, and so forth, and business, and of course, I love off roading. Been doing it for years, and I wanted to really tie that in, and that's really what we're looking at this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want it to be an interview based podcast. Um, we're gonna connect with some of the top leaders in the industry, top companies, guys with the builds that are going crazy on the social media platforms, the big sponsorships, and just the guys that have just gone out of their mind with their builds. We've seen a lot. There's a lot to unpack with all these builds going on. These builds seem to get crazier and crazier with each post and each design. We also want to explore, never shying away from the political topics of the world, as especially relates to off-road. Of course, everything from the Blue Ribbon Coalition and all the work they're doing to the
Yeah.
recent Supreme Court overturnings that impact the BLM and so forth. That's big in our industry, and we're not going to shy away from that either. We also love racing and events, everything from King of the Hammers to Baja
Yeah.
to just your
Absolutely.
everyday East Coast beach events to the KOH itself. I
Yeah.
think we want to explore all that
I think
and
it's
not
just
shy
all
away from any of it.
it's all passion, you know? I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that we all
It
have in common.
really is. Now, Clint and I have a definitely history together. We actually grew up in the same town. Clinton grew up longer than I did. You were born and raised in Gunnison, correct?
um,
Should have been.
I was yeah, I was born in Florida, but then I at a young age went to Colorado and was raised in Colorado for most of my life.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
you lived in Gunnison, and of course we have connections out of you. I mean, if you lived in Gunnison, you have connection with somebody.
Yes. Yes.
Can't not. So we had mutual connections, and Clinton, you moved out to Boone, North Carolina. What? How many years ago?
It's been about 6 years. I've spent some time off and on out of high school, being out east, and it's just kind of the perfect median of mountains and city life where we are. So it just kind of fit the bill, and it was, obviously more practical for family, not being out in the middle of nowhere like we were in Colorado.
Yeah. So what have you do for a living out in Boone?
So I run a company that a lot of people are probably familiar with, is Ruba Trucks, and we build a lot of custom Jeeps, custom platforms, and a lot of turnkey vehicles, and anything Jeep related we do. So I've been there for about 6 years and love it, and it's just a dream job for me, and I'm super passionate about the Jeep world and industry, and so it just I'm blessed and happy to have a career like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Very cool. When did you get into off-roading?
I would say it's been about 12 years ago, a fit
12
like
years.
legitimate. Those are some good stories, but yes, about 12
Yep.
years.
Aren't they all?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
first.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I born in Dallas, grew up in Colorado and Gunnison myself. Moved out to South Carolina. Well, because I grew up in Gunnison. You can get a lot of trouble in small towns too.
yeah,
And just
yeah.
my future, my schooling brought me out here. So and then
And where
yeah,
are you
I
at?
I am in Lexington, South Carolina, just Columbia area, the Midlands of South Carolina. And yeah, I get the great opportunity to run a nonprofit, so it has nothing to do with four-wheel drive. So my Jeep that sits in the parking lot looks randomly out of place. But I run a
Love it.
nonprofit for kids in foster care, and so I get the great joy of doing that. So that's a
That's really
blessing
cool.
and fun. But then yeah, the weekends and the evenings are spent with family and friends and working on the Jeep all the time. So, and I think that's another thing that we drug us to this podcast was the family aspect of it all. You have three kiddos. I got three
Yeah.
kiddos. Um,
And it's
and
hard. It's a lot to juggle to have a off-road lifestyle and three young kids, and it's interesting.
yeah, I think with kiddos, I mean, it just adds that dynamic. I mean, I look at these folks on Instagram and YouTube that are just living the life every day, every weekend, pounding the trail. And it's like, just doesn't happen. It
Doesn't.
helps when you don't
I
have
wish
birth.
it did.
Yeah, it helps when you don't have birthdays and sporting events
Yeah,
and everything else to throw at it at life, and then be like, I'll just go on a trail all day.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I picked four wheeling because I was like, well, it's much better than playing golf because I'm not going to sit on a golf course all day.
That's
In
true.
essence, I just sit on a trail all day, and yeah,
Hope something doesn't break.
you hope something doesn't break. It's my
Yeah,
axle or a drive line on an off road trail. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So Clint, you've had multiple rigs in your life.
yeah, yeah. I
You
don't keep
have
them
a
long.
knack for building, modifying, and selling.
Yeah, I get joy in building something unique, and I'm in the industry to do that, so it makes it very easy for me to do that. And I love the process, and I love learning about new builds and new Jeeps and new configurations that I've never done before. So currently, I have a very unique style build that I went off a beating path and try to do something different. I bought a 1995 YJ, which is a square headlight Jeep, which if, I'm sure you know. But I found it. It's got 50,000 miles on it, original miles. And I essentially built an LJ style or a YJ Unlimited or a 15-inch tub and frame stretch YJ. So it actually runs on coilovers. It's got 1 tons, 40s, hydro, an LJ full cage, LJ top.
So did you put spacers in the frame, or did you get a totally back end frame
So
replacement?
I did the full moto built uh,
Cool.
15-inch
Yeah.
frame stretch. So it's the full moto built from front to back, everything you can get. And super unique build, super cool. I love it. It's a lot of fun. I just finished it, haven't even been wheeling in it, so I don't even know how it's going to do off road. We'll see. Hopefully good. Yeah, I have a passion for building Jeeps, so who knows how long I'll keep it. I like to keep things interesting, so we'll see.
That's your like fifth,
Fifth
eighth,
since we probably just met, right? I don't know.
yeah, fifth,
I I
30th.
could I don't even know how many Jeeps. I build about a new Jeep every year, typically.
Yeah, I'm sure your wife loves that.
Thankfully, she's amazing and deals with it. So she got me back by when she wanted a Jeep of her own. She went with a brand new Rubicon, and we had to build it her way, and kind of got me there. So it was, she
There you
got me
go.
back.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, you've driven everything from a an XJ to a YJ to a JK to an L. Have you had an LJ yet? You have an
I've had an
LJ.
LJ, yeah.
You
I
a
have a soft
JL?
spot. Yeah, I had a JT. My
A
wife has a
J.
JL.
Oh,
But I have a thing for square headlights. I just love that people don't like them. I just love that. I just love it. You know. So,
well, you say square headlights, but square headlights with springs and coilovers,
correct. Yeah. Yeah.
not with arch springs and
Yeah. Yeah.
not with leaf springs and
Yeah.
that.
And I get a lot of shame. I've had a lot of really cool XJs and they don't have frames, so I love that people just I just love that it bothers people.
Yeah, I don't know what it's been. I always had a place for XJs.
I
I've loved
just
them.
where else can you buy something for that cheap? Well, not anymore. But in the day that was solid axle, that we can get in this a totally different. But that'd be a great topic to touch on because I just think it's a great platform for the
Yeah,
price.
I remember back in the day we had a guy that bobbed the back end, took off the cab on the rear and left it open, and was kind of his first truck bed. Put
Love
a
it.
Baja of it.
But
Man, that thing was the coolest thing I thought I'd ever seen. Yeah, you've had Grand Cherokees, you've had
I currently have a
everything with a
Grand.
G, maybe a CJ and
Yeah, I haven't
uh,
had a CJ.
and a we've had a JK and a JL.
Lots of JKs, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I like to try. I like trying different things. I like building different things. But I mean, I've that's a whole different story. All of those. I mean, I think your story with your TJ that you used to have is so cool because you just don't hear as many stories about your TJ as yours, and I think that you should tell them about it because it's so cool.
well, the TJ is great. I'm honestly, so I bought a TJ in '97 out of high school, and I
Wasn't
kept
it?
it.
It was new, right?
It was brand new, and I kept it until last year. Last year
Yeah.
I sold it. It had 80 something thousand miles on it.
So
Original motor,
so
original
awesome.
model, 44 in the rear, 456. Heck, we put the 40. I found the 44, the 456 gears in the lockers at an off-road shop we walked into, because the first few years of the Rubicon, it had the 44 in the rear, still had the 30 in the front. Um, but the guy was swapping it out for 60s front and rear. And walked into the shop, the guy's like, $2,000 at that point in time. There's 44 rear gears and lockers. Take it.
Yeah.
Deal. No
Deal done.
problem.
Yeah, done. Right.
So I had a 44 in the rear before 44s in the rear were cool
Yeah,
on. And of
that's
course
so
I got it
awesome.
done. And then of course the Rubicon gained more popularity, and then
Mhm.
I could have just bought a
I
Rubicon,
just
but
love that you had that thing so long and it's taken you so many places, I'm sure.
we did. I mean, like I said, since '97 to 2000, and what are we at? 2003. It's
Hmm.
been coast to coast. It's been Moab, Gunnison, all over West Virginia, North Carolina, it's been a Uwari, Gulches, and that thing only sat on 33s. But
I
I'm
love
gonna
it
tell you
too, man.
what,
I love it.
and even I've had snow over the hood of that thing.
Yeah,
Um,
awesome. So
We've
awesome.
been snow wheeling with guys with 40s and V8s, and that little TJ just never quit. That
So
thing was
awesome.
amazing. And I don't know if it was just because it was lighter,
Yeah,
but it just plowed through snow like you wouldn't believe.
they're
And
awesome.
yeah, it was a great TJ. Of course, with the family, things got, you know, it was either I was going by myself or we were leaving all the kids at home,
Yeah, yeah.
because it started to turn it just to a two-seater every time you go out. But yeah, 86,000 miles, original miles. We just babied that thing.
And you sold that, and you have a way more practical rig now, but
This one seems to need a lot more work than, I don't know, maybe.
yeah, they all do.
Mutual friend of ours suggested that I slow down with my purchasing. And I joke, I got a JK and the Tinder, it was a Tinder ad gone wrong. Yeah, and
Never. It is a well built Jeep though.
it is a
It's a
well-built Jeep. It's got a
yeah
60 in the rear, 44 in the front, which is gusseted. I ended up putting RCVs on it, hydraulic assist, 488s is what it's got in it. So I mean, it's great for what it is.
yeah
There's always tweaks, and there's always more rust than you wanted,
hmm
that you
yeah
didn't see when you were purchasing it, which
yeah
is truth. I don't know. It's like every time you go buy a vehicle, it's like you have these rose-colored glasses on, and you just don't see. And then you get it home and start
yeah.
turning a wrench, and you're like, "Crap! Like, what did I do?"
It's
Yeah,
like you
but
remember
I
that?
guess, yeah, I guess one of the things is, like, the TJ was sold to some kid in Tennessee, young buck, just married, just wanted something to ride around in, and I was like, that's a perfect place for that Jeep to go. So even
Yeah,
though I
for sure.
wasn't, qualifying the applicants that wanted to purchase it, I
I
was
think
qualifying
I
the
I think
applicants.
I think I would have shed a tear. Did you shed a tear?
It was, it was no, because I probably was in denial as I was leaving,
Okay.
and then
Totally.
afterward,
Yeah. I
you
totally
know,
get it.
and the downside, we always get to that choice with rigs. Like, it was either it sat in the driveway and didn't get used,
Yeah.
or you waited till your kids get old enough to drive it, or you just let it go. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was time. It was a fantastic rig, and I loved it. But I got to carry 3 kids now.
I'm starting to have second thoughts on a on a four-seater, and I have five in my family too, so I get that.
Well, give it a year, you'll get another rig.
And
So
that's why I'm not stressed. That's why I'm not stressed.
it's just, hey, I
Yeah.
got one there.
There you go.
Let me
There
go
you go.
start over. So what motivated you to kind of start off roading? Why? How, I
I
guess.
think we
Yeah,
both have a very similar story to this. We both have a mutual friend that
that
bad
idiot.
influence is a bad
Yeah, that
influence.
idiot.
And I think that we both got influenced into this Jeep world because we have a friend, his name is Jason, big into the Jeep world and community. He convinced me to buy an XJ to go beat at. I mean, when I say beat on, we beat on it. And I think I spent $1,500 and I got like a super nice XJ. And we would just go out in the snow and just balls to the wall, pin it
Yeah.
to the floor, and just it was the most free feeling you could have for $1,500. I mean, it was like a blast, and I was like, "Holy cow, this is unbelievable! It's so much fun."
That XJ on the obstacle track that they had during the summer.
No,
Okay, because there's a
unfortunately,
video out there, and I didn't know when you said you bought an XJ. I was like, is is the
right.
events to?
Probably. But actually, the story was short-lived because I bought that Jeep in the wintertime and it didn't make it till Christmas and I burned it to the ground. And I'd love to talk about that story a different time. Yeah, so that didn't last long, but it still kept my interest in it, and that's what sparked my fire. And since then, it's been one after another, and it's just I love the idea of customizing and making it your own and working on it. They're fun to work on too, well,
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. Jason is a pain in the butt. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
And I
So
think
what was you? Go ahead.
and I'm gonna try to get him on here and be one of our first interviews, because I think
Yeah.
you want to talk about how much crap you and I will be getting. I mean, we'll sign up for just getting crap for an hour,
Yeah.
or however long we decide to keep him on the podcast.
It'd be a lot of
Um,
fun.
yeah, I met Jason when he was younger, of course, and I was too, and or younger than when you met him. So I got the very immature Jason. You got a slightly more mature Jason. But yeah, when I moved to Gunnison, I rolled into town with a full size Chevy on 35s, single cab or a extended cab
Nice.
35s. Yeah,
Nice.
it was great. It was my parents' way of bribing me to move from Dallas to Gunnison,
Nice.
as a high schooler who in God's name wants to move to Gunnison to go to high school. So that was my parents' bribe, and of course, you roll into Gunnison with a lifted rig like that, everybody's going to give you crap. I got
That's
called "Thanks,
awesome.
Dad" for a long time. Jason was definitely
One of them.
one of the instigators of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really was. I actually ended up busting a brake line, and I had to call the local tow
H&H
trucking
towing.
company.
Yeah.
And I'll tell that if he's on here, I'm gonna tell the story because he towed it improperly. So he ended up towing it. I ended up really meeting him, and finally he kept asking me to go four wheeling. And of course, I was a kid from Dallas that didn't have a clue how to four wheel, and I gave every excuse in the book. I'm out of gas. I got to go home. My mom just called. All those excuses, and
Yeah.
finally, it is nagging enough. I was like, dude, I don't know how to four wheel. Teach me. And he's
Yeah.
like, all right, deal. It was on after that. Hartman Rocks is a big area just south of Gunnison that everybody runs out and plays in. And yeah,
Perfect little
that
playground.
that was my first trail, man.
That's
Hartman
awesome.
Rocks. God, if I can remember the trail, the little hill climb up on the front part of it. Yeah, it had the big ruts in it that you had to walk up. I can't remember what it was, but it ended up closing part of it. But yeah, he dragged me up there and said, "Go up that." And I was like,
Awesome.
okay, deal.
That's so
And
awesome.
it was after that. So yeah, that Chevy didn't last very long. Actually broke that thing. Actually, Jason broke that thing
I believe
on
it. I totally believe that.
Potato Salad Hill on a Saturday.
You brought that thing to Moab.
I took that thing to Moab, man, and Jason took it up Potato
Oh,
Salad Hill
God.
and broke it on a Saturday
I love that.
with the world watching.
I bet that was great.
JB Weldon duct tape was the only thing that got us home.
That's amazing.
But yeah, and that's where it started. And then of course Moab, you cannot go to Moab and not get in love with off-roading.
Yeah.
And
It's
yeah.
it's changed a lot, but it is the place to get that passion.
Yeah, I haven't been in years, and part of me is scared to go back because I know it's not going to be what it once was, and
Still
that's my
amazing. It's
memories.
still amazing. It's been years for me too.
So yeah, it's what is your favorite trail?
Pritchett would probably
Pritchett.
be my favorite
Jesus.
one. Uh, Honestly, yeah, probably Pritchett.
And I've said this before in other platforms, Pritchett is one of those love-hate relationships.
Yeah, can be for sure.
It's either you love it or you hate it
Yeah.
because you've either spent, whatever the 4 hours it takes to really go through it.
Hmm.
You've gone through it and walked through it cleanly, and you've enjoyed your day. You had a great dinner, or you get to the top and it's midnight and you're still just clawing your way
Yeah.
through it with like 5 broken rigs, and then
Yes.
you still got this like 20-mile drive on a crappy dirt road out
Yeah.
of town, and you're just done. And
Yeah.
you either break everything or you make it through cleanly.
It's very true. Very true. I've only ran it once, but it was a lot of fun.
I've probably done it three times, and I think there's only one time we walked through it.
Really. God, I
Yeah,
couldn't imagine. Thankfully, we
and
made it.
first time was took the TJ, and it was God.
You
That
took the
thing was on.
TJ through Pritchett? Oh my
Yes,
God.
back in the day. Yeah, TJ went through Pritchett all 3 times.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
so awesome.
and they
That's
just
proof that you don't have to have an insanely capable rig to go have fun.
well, but I think it's been dug out just a little bit more lately.
Well, true,
Yeah,
true, true. But still.
because honestly, I've taken the TJ up Trail 15 in Winrock.
So yes, I ran 15 in my JK, my JK on tons and 40s. And
Yeah,
I did lay it into the wall on the side and smash the whole side of my Jeep. But I did make it up it. But it is night and day different now.
yeah, it's yeah. When I stood over it last earlier this year, and it's a 7 foot ledge
Yeah. I do want to
easily.
run that. I really want to run that with the YJ. That's the first trail I want to
Uh,
run.
I'll be at the top. I'll help you out.
Yes, perfect.
I'll be
Yeah, yeah.
because yeah, with this rig, it was like, oh, I'm gonna go run Trail 15, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh, sweet, I did it with TJ. Went and looked at it, and I was like, nope, not doing that. Not at all.
Yeah,
It is getting as close to a buggy trail as it
yeah.
can be. It's just washed out,
It is.
and
Yeah, it is.
but Windrock is probably the closest big off road park to you and I.
Yeah, that's
Um,
where we actually met. the first time officially in person. It's a great park. It really is.
Which hopefully we'll have them on too
Yeah,
here
that would be
soon.
great.
That'll be a good interview because even researching about Windrock was definitely some shocking things to me. I didn't know it was an incorporated company.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's much bigger than you think.
It's a
Uh,
huge operation.
if you had an ultimate budget build and
Like no
budget was
money
no limit,
issue.
a
Yeah,
budget no limit build,
yeah.
what would be your platform you start out with? Seeing you
That's
just
really
got done with
tough.
it.
That's really yeah, right. That's really tough. Okay. So in all reality, that would probably be the dream style build. High horsepower.
What would you build it for?
I would build it for everyday use and
Yeah.
off-roading. So for me, it doesn't matter money an issue or not. A Jeep to me, I have to be able to drive it every day and use it for everyday purposes and take it on the trail. Otherwise, to me, I can't justify looking at something regardless of money, sitting somewhere and never driving it. It just seems like a waste to me. So I got to get something out of it, and that. So I'd want it to be built for on-road and off-road use.
I convinced my wife to move.
Yes, that
Um,
too. Yes,
yeah,
that too.
be like, hey,
Yeah,
we've got to move because
yeah,
I built this car,
yeah.
and
Right,
we need to
right,
move
right, right. Yeah, yeah. We
so
can't
I
be
can
here
use it,
anymore. Yeah, yeah.
so
What
I
would
can be
yours be?
closer to using it.
Yeah. What would yours?
Yeah, mine. I honestly, if I had to pick, it would be an Ultra 4 rig.
Yeah, I love that. I
I
love
would
that.
love to build an Ultra 4 rig. I'd love to do KOH.
I would love to. I
I
would
would be
love.
horrible at it. I would be
Yeah,
last place, broken on the side of the road. Right,
but
if I wouldn't be the guy that almost flipped on the race on the first corner, or he did flip on the first corner.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
did end up landing over the first. I would be that guy.
But you would be remembered as that
I
guy
would
at
be
least.
remembered. I think my two dream ones, as crazy it would sound, I'd love to run a class 11 uh
Yeah, it'd be cool.
bug. I
I
don't
love
know
it.
I
I
don't know
love
why.
bugs.
I would love to just build a bug and
I When I
go.
saw that for the first time, I was like, this is life. This is what life is meant to be, is this class right here.
Yeah. I mean, that is a budget build, so
Yeah.
it doesn't really answer the question. But my
No,
ultimate
but
budget build would be a
yeah.
class 4. But I say
Yeah.
it's a budget build. It's still
Yeah.
way out of my league to go buy a bug and be like, hey, let's
Let's do
go,
this.
let's beef it up to run Baja,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then drive all the way to Baja with all the things we need.
That'd be a tough one to pitch to the wife.
I don't think that one's gonna happen. I
No.
don't sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and I think one thing I love, and one as we touched on earlier, and I'll probably say it more, uh, not as fluid here, but I think one thing I love in life is you run a business, I run a business. I love business. The
Yeah.
off-road industry is a business. I mean, it
Huge,
really is.
huge industry.
The reason we have stickers and everything else, and promotion and marketing and so forth. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes that never get the credit
Mhm.
um, for what we do. Guys that
Yeah.
sit at CAD tables and draw out
It's a
um,
lot. Yeah.
products that get just slapped on a rig, and you're like, well, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
John doesn't get any credit for sitting there for,
Yeah.
6 months and drawing that out. Um, it's a business, and the people we impact. I think my business philosophy is I want people to be successful, and I
Yeah.
want to
Absolutely.
I want to help people grow and be successful in whatever they want to
Hmm.
do. And my background is a therapist, so my goal is to always bring you into insight
Hmm.
and to help you motivate you in your own way to go accomplish your goals. And you know, I think one of the things I really want to touch on this podcast as well is that kind of aspect, because when we get
Yeah.
folks from Windrock or certain companies or even people that own different companies and did huge builds,
Mhm.
I know I've learned when I listen to leadership stuff and all that, I've learned from people from industries that I would never imagine I would have connected with, and it's been some of the best advice I've ever gotten. So I
Yeah.
guess as a business person in your realm, what is your business philosophy? What is your leadership motto?
The biggest thing for our company is obviously we build custom vehicles for people, but the biggest thing now that you don't see a lot of anymore is relationships and customer
Yeah,
service and building rapport with people and keeping that rapport. So that's like something we pride ourselves in, is not only that, using the highest grade quality parts that you could put on vehicles and promoting a quality product. But I mean, the biggest thing is, I want someone to buy something with confidence and know that in a year they could reach out to me and they have that support system that they need with a custom style vehicle, because that's a big part of it. A lot of people, the industry is a customizable industry. That's what we're in, and a lot of people don't have the knowledge that we have. So having that support to lean on, that's a huge thing in a business, and being there for those people and helping them long term, and having relationships.
yeah, I think you're right. In a leadership role where you manage people and lead people, I see a lot of industries and a lot of people leave jobs because there is no connection.
Hmm.
There's no
Of
buy-in
course.
from leadership or that person because there's nothing to buy into. And having that customer service and that connection of just picking up the phone and being able to, hey, make a phone call. I mean, I have guys, of course, that have nothing to do with my industry, nothing to do with off-roading, that when I have a problem, I can pick up the phone call and there they are.
Yeah.
Whether
And
they
that's
be,
huge.
yeah, whether they be lawyers or doctors
Yeah.
or anybody in a specific trade, it's, hey, because they care about that connection and they care about building it. I think that's
Exactly. Yeah, I agree
vitally important.
completely. Community, in all aspects.
Yeah, and you look at folks like the CEO of Metal Cloak. I've listened to him before talk, and
Yeah. Mhm.
it. You would think, oh, he's just an off-road guy. Okay, great, but you listen to his leadership stuff, and it's incredible,
Yeah.
and learning from him is great. And yeah, I think your business philosophy plays out in what we do every day, because I think it
Mhm.
also buys into how we build, how we drive, how we interact, how we take care of the land around us, how we take care of
Right.
our rigs, and so
Yeah.
forth. Um, so yeah,
That's
I think the
absolutely right.
business aspect is uh, vitally important. And on that realm, best advice you've ever received.
This seems crazy, but patience and slowing down and not rushing. I think
Right.
that the excitement of these things, regardless of if you're new to this community or whatever, the excitement's always there. But having the patience and really researching things and doing things buy once, cry once, So, I mean, it's hard when you get hazed by the excitement and you don't really, you might say, you buy something, you build something, and then you're like, dang, shouldn't have done that. I just wasted a lot of money. So I think the best advice as far as this industry, I would say, you know, patience. Nothing happens quickly with a build. Nothing happens overnight. And as far as business goes, the best advice that I've ever got is treating others the way you'd want to be treated. That sounds so stupid. If you're spending $100,000 on a Jeep, I want to treat you the way I would want to feel if I was spending $100,000 on a Jeep. So, that's like where I really stand very firm with is I want someone to be taken care of the way I would want to be taken care of if I spent that kind of money.
That's entirely true. I think for me, it's my dad always said it, and it's just been one of those things that anytime anybody asks me that question, it's the first thing that comes to mind, and it's winners do the things that losers don't like to do.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
and I think that's just speaks to the everyday grind and to what
Hmm.
you said about patience. Nothing happens quick. Fortunately, a lot of folks in this world want to see instant gratification. I'm pretty sure we're not getting any gratification out of this video. I'm pretty sure we might not get much out of the next one.
Hey, you know what? We're doing
But
this
we'll see
for
what
passion.
happens.
For passion, man. More passion.
It's the grind, it's the
Yeah,
consistency, it's showing up
it
every
is.
day. Yeah, you got to show up, and that's what winners end up doing. They show up every
Mhm.
day, no matter the circumstance, no matter the environment around them. And right now, it's going to be like we may have one listener. It may be my mom, but
Same.
sweet.
Yeah,
We've doubled our listeners from last week.
right.
What's your go-to? Beer, whiskey, tequila?
I
Do
am
you have
a
one?
I am
Water?
a I'm like a two and done type guy. Beer. I have two beers and I'm good, and then I sleep like a baby. So
Well,
I
you also weigh 90 pounds.
right. Yeah.
Um,
I don't do a lot of drinking, but I do like whiskey. But beer is my go-to.
yeah. I've been a bourbon guy. I am
I can get
not a
down with it.
connoisseur. I am not a connoisseur.
All right.
I've
Well, you're probably more.
tried I've tried to learn the world of bourbon,
Mhm.
and it's like talking
It's like talking
algebra
Jeep
and
to a
geom.
Toyota
Yeah.
person. Or yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it is way over my head.
yeah.
I can listen to guys talk, and I'll be honest with you. Like when I go to we go to been to a few bourbon tastings, and everybody's like, "Oh, I smell the cinnamon, the nutmeg, I
Smells
don't
like
smell
whiskey.
nothing."
Whiskey.
So it's like, does it burn going down or does it not? That's what I want to know. Can I sip it or do I have to shake my head after
Love it.
I just I'm not there, but I do
Yeah.
like bourbon. One that does it. What does success for you as an off-roader mean, or in your business?
Me personally, success in this industry would just be keeping that passion and really having the passion to enjoy the sport and enjoy the industry and be excited about, anything off-road related. And I truly am, I'm passionate about everything in that industry. And I would to me, because you lose that passion, that fire, then obviously you're not into the hobby as much as you'd want to be.
Right.
And as far as business, I think I, enjoying what you do.
Right.
If you can enjoy what you do, and every job's going to have its pros and cons. I'm not going to say mine doesn't, but enjoying what you do and enjoying life and slowing life down is a success for me. It's living in the moment, but that would be the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. In the business realm, for me, success is watching as long as other people are succeeding, I'm
Yeah,
succeeding. If you're failing as a leader, then I'm failing.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
obviously we're not making it, or it's not the right fit, or I've not made the correct decision or assessment in what we're doing. For me as an off-roader, I've enjoyed the great thing about this JK over the TJ is I never had to work on the TJ. It was
Wow.
Now I got a standing toolbox and everything. I got a torch. I
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah,
hammers.
yeah, yeah.
I think the joy for me is that success as an off-roader is I'm constantly learning. If I ever feel
Yeah,
like I'm
yeah.
not learning, then I need to go home.
You've
I
said that too, because that's
Yeah,
very that keeps your passion.
yeah, it does.
It keeps it there, and that's a big thing. It's a big
And
thing.
I think one of my biggest fears with this JK is I had to get over failing.
Hmm.
Like I may not know how to fix this thing all the
Yeah,
time, but and one of my goals with this JK is I'm not taking it to a shop. I have
yeah,
enough people
yeah.
around me that know what they're doing
Hmm.
that are okay with me, like you,
Yeah.
pestering them. And how in
But
God's
does
name
that
do I?
does that does that count as taking it to a shop or
No,
physically?
no, no,
Okay,
no, no,
okay,
no, no.
okay,
Did you grab a
okay.
wrench?
No, you're
Um,
right. You're right.
Advice and implementation are two different things. So yeah, I think for me, one of the greatest things is just learning how to work on it and not being
Hmm.
afraid of just stepping in and doing it.
Totally,
Because
totally
because
agree.
the funny thing is, I started doing this with the TJ in the last few years. I got it. I just lay underneath it and look at it and be like, this is not that complicated.
That's why I love it. I love it.
It's this connects to that, that connects to this, and these spin that, and
Yeah.
like it truly is not that complicated.
This
Sure,
goes
there's
bang, this goes boom, you know.
so it is one of those things that people don't ever want to get into the sport
Yeah.
because it's like if I break something, I just have somebody fix it because I don't know
You
the
should get into the
specs and
sport expecting that
yeah, it's
that's the
gonna happen.
sport. That's the industry. Yes,
And I
yes.
think back when I first started in the late '90s, early 2000s, the internet, YouTube wasn't a thing. So I
Winging
mean,
it.
I didn't know how to. I couldn't just YouTube how to disassemble the lower end of a 3.8. You know,
Yeah. You
yeah,
just
you
started
start
taking
taking
things
stuff
apart.
apart.
And
I was too scared to do that, and
you know,
because
you
then
know, you know what my favorite saying is at my work that we do on the most complicated things that you have no idea what you're doing. Our favorite saying is it's just nuts and bolts.
it's just nuts and bolts.
Yep, it's just nuts
And
and bolts, man.
is there not another? Is there not another part of that saying?
There might be. I don't
Oh,
know though.
I feel like that goes down a road of it's just nuts and bolts. But if something,
No,
yeah, never mind, never mind.
no.
We'll
That's
skip
funny.
that for now. So, um, well, this is the Off-Road Campfire Podcast, and we are excited for you to allow us to be a part of that.
Yeah,
And we're looking forward to the adventure. Will be an interview based. What you heard today is a lot of what we'll try to structure going forward. We're excited to bring different folks on and hopefully grow this and be more interesting than we are today.
yeah.
Um,
It's gonna be
but
awesome.
we'll see, and then we'll have folks on and interview and go from there, and hopefully you're able to learn something from it.
Yeah.
Till next time, thank you guys very much for joining the Off Road Campfire Podcast.
Thanks, guys.